The Maya civilization, one of the most remarkable and enduring civilizations of the ancient world, stands as a monumental testament to human ingenuity, cultural sophistication, and spiritual depth. Flourishing across vast swaths of Mesoamerica, including present-day southeastern Mexico, Belize, Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador, the Maya crafted a civilization known for its advanced writing system, stunning architectural achievements, mathematical precision, complex calendrical systems, and deeply spiritual cosmology. Unlike empires that expanded through aggressive conquest and centralized rule, the Maya civilization was characterized by a mosaic of city-states, each with its own ruler, traditions, and religious practices. These city-states, such as Tikal, Palenque, Copán, and Chichén Itzá, were interlinked through a dynamic web of alliances, trade, warfare, and cultural exchange. For over 2 millennia, the Maya maintained a civilization that blended continuity with transformation, resilience with vulnerability. This essay will explore the profound richness of the Maya civilization from its roots in the pre-classic era to its classical zenith, its sudden decline, the arrival of the Spanish, and the living legacy of Maya peoples today. It will examine Maya art, architecture, religion, science, politics, daily life, and the reasons for their enduring fascination in the global imagination. The geographical heartland of the Maya civilization stretches from the southern lowlands of Guatemala and Belize to the mountainous highlands and the Yucatan Peninsula. This region provided both the blessings and challenges that would shape Maya culture. The landscape is marked by tropical rainforests, karst limestone formations, and unpredictable rainfall patterns. The absence of major rivers in the central lowlands meant the Maya had to develop ingenious water storage and agricultural techniques, including cenotes, natural sinkholes, raised fields, and reservoir systems. This environmental context necessitated close observation of natural cycles, which in turn nurtured a deep appreciation for astronomy, timekeeping, and ritual life. The challenge of managing limited arable land and water likely encouraged the development of complex social hierarchies and city planning. The roots of Maya civilization reach back to at least 2000 BCE, when early agricultural communities began to settle across Mesoamerica. These early Maya people practiced slash-and-burn farming, milpa agriculture, growing staples like maize, corn, beans, squash, and chili peppers. The domestication of these crops allowed for sedentary lifestyles, which in turn enabled the growth of villages, trade, and eventually complex social structures. By 1000 BCE, Maya settlements exhibited increasing complexity, with ceremonial structures, elite residences, and rudimentary social stratification. Pottery, jade artifacts, and early religious symbolism suggest growing cultural cohesion and interaction with neighboring groups such as the Olmecs, themselves a major influence on early Mesoamerican civilization. The Olmecs, often considered the mother culture of Mesoamerica, profoundly influenced Maya society. Flourishing along the Gulf Coast between 1500 and 400 BCE, the Olmecs developed early hieroglyphic writing, calendrical systems, monumental art, and elite rule, all cultural elements adopted and adapted by the Maya. In sites such as Nacbe and El Mirador in the Petén region of Guatemala, large pyramids and ceremonial plazas emerged during the late pre-classic period, c. 400 BCE, 250 CE, indicating increasingly sophisticated urban development. El Mirador, one of the largest Maya cities of the time, boasted the massive Pyramid of La Danta, which rivals the Great Pyramid of Giza in volume. These developments set the stage for the flowering of Maya civilization during the Classic period. Writing systems were refined, political organization became more hierarchical, and religious practices grew increasingly elaborate, paving the way for the golden age of Maya cultural expression. The Classic period marks the pinnacle of Maya achievement in almost every area: art, architecture, mathematics, astronomy, writing, and statecraft. City-states such as Tikal, Copán, Palenque, Calakmul, and Caracol grew into powerful and complex urban centers, each ruled by divine kings and supported by a highly stratified social structure. Monumental architecture, including stepped pyramids, ball courts, observatories, and palace complexes, became hallmarks of Maya cities. These were not just expressions of engineering prowess but also of cosmological significance, linking the physical world to the divine order. At the heart of each city-state was the Kuhul Ajah, Holy Lord, a ruler believed to be divinely sanctioned and spiritually potent. These kings performed public rituals, bloodletting ceremonies, and warfare to ensure the favor of the gods and maintain cosmic balance. Political legitimacy was often reinforced through lineage claims, especially descent from mythic or semi-divine ancestors. Dynasties were central to Maya history, and the written records etched on stelae, tall stone monuments, altars, and temple walls preserve detailed accounts of royal births, accessions, conquests, marriages, and deaths. These inscriptions, rendered in Maya hieroglyphs, form one of the most sophisticated writing systems of the ancient world and have been partially deciphered in modern times. Maya politics were deeply competitive. Warfare was common, not necessarily for territorial conquest, but for prestige, captives, and religious purposes. City-states formed alliances and rivalries that sometimes lasted for centuries. The intense rivalry between Tikal and Calakmul is among the most well-documented, involving proxy conflicts, assassinations, and dynastic marriages. Captives, particularly nobles and kings, were often sacrificed in elaborate ceremonies meant to appease the gods or celebrate victories. Such practices underlined the interweaving of politics, religion, and warfare in Maya life. Religion was the bedrock of Maya life, woven into every social, political, and intellectual thread of the civilization. The Maya perceived the universe as an intricate balance between the earthly, celestial, and underworld realms. Every act, from planting crops to waging war, was saturated with spiritual significance, and maintaining cosmic harmony required ritual, sacrifice, and reverence for the gods. The Maya pantheon was vast, featuring gods that governed rain, maize, the sun, death, the moon, and more. Many deities were dualistic in nature, capable of both benevolence and destruction. Central figures included Itzamna, the creator god, associated with the sky, knowledge, and writing. Chak, the rain god, essential for agricultural fertility. Kinich-Ajah, the sun god, often linked to royal authority. Ixchel, the goddess of fertility, medicine, and childbirth. Apuk, the god of death and the underworld. Religious ceremonies included offerings of food, incense, music, dance, and, in particularly important rituals, blood. Elite bloodletting, where nobles pierced their tongues, ears, or genitals, was a powerful act of devotion, believed to open portals to the divine. Human sacrifice, while not as widespread or frequent as in later Aztec practices, was still an important religious act. It was typically reserved for captured enemies or specially chosen victims, with ceremonies often held atop pyramids to allow the spilling of blood to flow toward the earth, nourishing the gods and the land. The architecture of Maya cities was a physical manifestation of their spiritual beliefs. Pyramids were oriented with celestial bodies and served as stages for public ritual. Cities were often aligned with solstices, equinoxes, and planetary movements, reflecting the Maya's deep cosmological understanding. Ball courts, too, had religious significance. The Maya ball game, Paktapak, was not merely a sport but a sacred reenactment of cosmic struggle. In some contexts, the losing, or winning, team's captain was sacrificed, emphasizing the intertwining of sport, ritual, and death. The Maya developed one of the most sophisticated and fully realized writing systems in the pre-Columbian Americas. Their hieroglyphic script combined logograms, word signs, and syllabic signs, allowing for both phonetic and symbolic expression. It was used primarily by the elite to record dynastic histories, astronomical events, rituals, and mythology. Inscriptions were carved on stone monuments, painted on ceramics, and written in codices, bark paper books. These texts often detailed lineages and succession, religious festivals, military victories, offerings and tribute, calendrical cycles. The decipherment of Maya script in the 20th century, led by scholars such as Yuri Norisov and Linda Skeel, has revolutionized our understanding of the Maya. What were once enigmatic symbols are now vibrant narratives revealing the political intrigue, cosmology, and personal lives of ancient Maya rulers. Only 4 Maya codices are known to have survived the Spanish conquest: the Dresden, Madrid, Paris, and Grolier codices. These contain astronomical, ritual, and calendrical data. Tragically, thousands of other manuscripts were burned by Spanish clergy, particularly Bishop Diego de Landa, who considered them heretical. This loss remains one of the greatest tragedies of cultural destruction in the Americas. Maya art is striking in its detail, symbolism, and variety. It was both an aesthetic and religious endeavor, deeply infused with meaning. Themes often depicted rulers, gods, mythological scenes, animals, and rituals. Maya artists used a range of materials including stone, for monumental stele and temple carvings. Jade, considered sacred, used in masks, jewelry, and elite burials. Ceramics, finely painted vessels depicting courtly life, myth, and cosmology. Stucco, molded for elaborate masks, friezes, and temple decorations. Maya depictions of the human form emphasized an ideal of beauty involving elongated heads, achieved through cranial binding in infancy, elaborate headdresses, and crossed eyes, features associated with nobility and divine favor. Sites like Bonampak offer vivid murals portraying music, dancing, warfare, and bloodletting. These images offer a rare window into court life and religious practice. Meanwhile, Maya pottery was both functional and ceremonial, and often included glyphic inscriptions identifying the owner, use, or mythic scene. The Maya developed an extraordinarily advanced understanding of mathematics and astronomy. They independently invented the concept of zero, centuries before its use in Europe or Asia, and employed a vigesimal, base 20, numerical system. This enabled them to perform complex calculations, particularly related to timekeeping. Their calendar system was one of the most intricate in human history, blending ritual, solar, and historical cycles. The Tzolk'in, 260-day ritual calendar, used for divination and religious festivals. The Hab, 365-day solar calendar, approximating the solar year. The calendar round, a 52-year cycle combining the Tzolk'in and Hab. The long count, used to track historical dates over millennia from a mythical starting point in 3114 BCE. Maya priests astronomers observed celestial movements with remarkable precision. They could predict solar eclipses, track Venus, associated with war and sacrifice, and determine solstices and equinoxes. Cities like Copán and Uxmal were aligned with astronomical events, and observatories such as those in Chichén Itzá featured architectural alignments with celestial bodies. The Maya viewed time not as linear but cyclical. Every event echoed earlier mythic actions, and every calendrical turning point demanded corresponding rituals. This cosmic framework made time sacred, binding human actions to celestial rhythms. Maya society was highly stratified, with clear distinctions between elite and commoner life. The king, Ajah, divine ruler and central figure in religious political life. Nobles, administrators, warriors, priests, scribes, and artisans. Commoners, farmers, laborers, and tradespeople who formed the bulk of society. Slaves, often war captives or debtors, used for labor and occasionally for sacrifice. This hierarchy was not rigidly fixed, and there is evidence of social mobility through military service or specialized skill. Maize was at the heart of Maya life, both nutritionally and spiritually. The Popol Vuh, a sacred Kitch Maya text, describes humans as being made from maize dough, underscoring its cultural significance. Farming methods included milpa agriculture, slash and burn to regenerate soil. Terracing, in highland areas. Raised fields and irrigation, especially in swampy or dry zones. Trade was vibrant, extending across Mesoamerica. The Maya traded cacao, used as currency, jade, obsidian, salt, textiles, feathers, and ceramics via well-established routes. Markets were bustling centers of exchange, not just of goods but also of ideas and culture. Ordinary Maya lived in thatched-roof homes made of wattle and daub. Elite compounds featured stone constructions with multiple rooms and courtyards. Dress was another marker of status. Nobles wore elaborately embroidered garments, jewelry, and feathered headdresses. Commoners wore simpler cotton tunics, huipiles, or loincloths. Body modification, such as tattooing, dental inlays, cranial shaping, and ear stretching, was widely practiced. One of the greatest mysteries of the ancient world is the sudden and widespread collapse of the classic Maya civilization in the southern lowlands around the 9th century CE. Great cities like Tikal, Copán, Caracol, and Palenque were abandoned, monumental construction ceased, and the richly inscribed stelae and glyphs fell silent. This decline was not uniform. Many cities in the northern Yucatan Peninsula such as Uxmal, Chichén Itzá, and Mayapan continued to flourish for centuries, but in the heartland, the change was dramatic and lasting. Scholars have proposed several overlapping causes for this complex and multifaceted decline. Environmental degradation, deforestation and overuse of resources may have exhausted the land. Climate change, evidence of prolonged droughts, especially from lake and cave sediment cores, suggests water scarcity was a critical factor. Overpopulation, the carrying capacity of the land may have been exceeded, straining agricultural systems. Political instability, increased warfare, internal rebellions, and dynastic collapse are evident in many inscriptions from the period. Religious crisis, failures of the elite to maintain the favor of the gods, manifested through crop failure, social unrest, or military defeat, could have undermined divine kingship. It is likely that a combination of these factors, varying across regions, contributed to a systemic collapse of elite authority and civic cohesion. Although the classic Maya cities of the southern lowlands fell into decline, Maya civilization did not vanish. The post-classic period saw the rise of new centers, particularly in the northern Yucatan and highland Guatemala. Cities like Chichén Itzá, Uxmal, Mayapan, and Camarcaj flourished, although their political systems and religious practices evolved considerably from their classic predecessors. These cities had less emphasis on monumental inscriptions and divine kingship, focusing more on trade, confederacies, and collective governance. Chichén Itzá, for instance, appears to have had a more diverse ruling structure and strong ties with central Mexican powers like the Toltecs. Post-classic Maya art and architecture became increasingly militarized and cosmopolitan. The famed Temple of the Warriors and the Great Ball Court at Chichén Itzá demonstrate these new sensibilities. Religious practices continued, but with additional deities and shifts in ritual focus. Trade intensified during this time. Maritime routes connected the Yucatan coast with distant Mesoamerican markets, spreading obsidian, salt, cacao, and textiles across thousands of miles. The arrival of the Spanish in the early 16th century marked the beginning of another dramatic transformation for the Maya. Unlike the swift defeat of the Aztecs or Incas, the conquest of the Maya was prolonged and brutal, spanning nearly 2 centuries. The decentralized nature of Maya political organization, combined with their difficult terrain and persistent resistance, made conquest difficult. Key dates include 1511, shipwrecked Spaniards encounter the Maya, some assimilate, like Gonzalo Guerrero, who marries a Maya woman and fights against the Spanish. 1524, Hernán Cortés passes through Maya lands en route to Honduras. 1541 to 1697, a series of campaigns gradually subdue Maya kingdoms such as Kich, Caxical, Yalain, and Itzá. The last independent Maya kingdom, Najpatan, located on an island in Lake Petén-Itzá, fell only in 1697, making it one of the final strongholds of indigenous resistance in the Americas. The Spanish imposition of Catholicism, forced labor, tribute, and encomienda systems had devastating effects. Diseases like smallpox decimated populations, while countless Maya manuscripts, idols, and sacred objects were destroyed by missionaries. Bishop Diego de Landa, while responsible for much destruction, also compiled invaluable ethnographic records, including the Relation de las Cosas de Yucatán, which paradoxically preserved elements of Maya culture and script. Despite these pressures, Maya communities adapted and persisted. They practiced syncretic religions, preserving indigenous beliefs under a Catholic veneer, and maintained social cohesion in remote areas where Spanish control was weaker. Interest in the ancient Maya reawakened in the 19th century when explorers and scholars began documenting ruins hidden in the jungles. Key figures included John Lloyd Stephens and Frederick Catherwood, 1839 to 1842. Their travels and detailed illustrations, published in Incidents of Travel in Central America, sparked global fascination with Maya ruins. Alfred Maudslay, Teobert Mailer, and Sylvanus Morley contributed significantly to early studies of Maya sites and inscriptions. These expeditions led to major archaeological projects throughout the 20th century, excavating, restoring, and analyzing sites such as Tikal, Palenque, Copán, and Chichén Itzá. For much of the 19th and early 20th centuries, Maya writing was mistakenly viewed as purely ideographic. It was not until the mid-20th century that significant breakthroughs occurred, largely due to the work of Yuri Norisov, a Soviet linguist who recognized phonetic components of the script. Tatiana Proskuryakov demonstrated that many inscriptions recorded historical events, not just religious cycles. Linda Skeel, David Stewart, and others who contributed to the full decipherment of Maya glyphs. These discoveries revealed a complex historical narrative of dynasties, warfare, alliances, and cultural richness previously unknown. Today, millions of Maya people live across Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, and Honduras. They speak over 30 distinct Maya languages, such as Kich, Yucatec, Quechua, Tzotzil, and Mam. These communities retain vibrant traditions in weaving, agriculture, dance, oral history, and ritual practice. Despite centuries of colonization, assimilation efforts, and marginalization, the Maya have preserved many elements of their identity. Traditional clothing, local governance, and syncretic religious practices remain integral to life in many Maya villages. Maya communities today face significant challenges, including poverty, land disputes, discrimination, and environmental threats. Many were caught in the crossfire of civil wars, particularly in Guatemala during the 20th century, when state-led violence disproportionately targeted indigenous populations. However, there is also a strong movement toward cultural revitalization, education, and indigenous rights. Maya scholars, leaders, and activists are working to reclaim their heritage, protect sacred sites, and promote linguistic and cultural education. The rediscovery of the Maya has profoundly shaped global understanding of ancient civilizations. The Maya demonstrated that complex writing, advanced mathematics, and scientific observation were not exclusive to Eurasian cultures. Their calendar, numerical system, and architectural alignment with celestial bodies continue to inspire awe among scholars, students, and the general public. Some of their most important contributions include mathematics and the zero. Centuries before its widespread adoption elsewhere, the Maya understood and used the concept of zero, allowing for precise timekeeping and calculations. Astronomy. Their observations of Venus, lunar cycles, and solar events rivaled those of Babylonian and Hellenistic astronomers. Timekeeping. The long count calendar has captivated generations, especially during the build-up to the 2012 phenomenon, when the 13th Bacton ended, a moment often misinterpreted as a predicted apocalypse but actually a renewal of cosmic cycles. Art and writing. The beauty and complexity of Maya glyphs and sculpture have been recognized as among the greatest achievements in the Americas. Maya sites have received global recognition and protection. Notable UNESCO World Heritage Sites include Tikal, Guatemala, a sprawling city with towering pyramids and thousands of structures set in the rainforest. Chichén Itzá, Mexico, famous for the Temple of Kukulkan, a step pyramid aligned with solar phenomena. Palenque, Mexico, a lush, intricately carved city in the Chiapas highlands. Uxmal, Mexico, noted for its decorative puque architecture. Copán, Honduras, renowned for its hieroglyphic stairway and royal portraiture. These sites are not only tourist attractions but also educational tools that link the modern world to an ancient past filled with resilience and creativity. The Maya have captured the public imagination in novels, films, video games, and speculative theories. However, these portrayals are often laced with inaccuracies and stereotypes, especially regarding human sacrifice, prophecies, or lost civilizations. Popular fascination with the so-called Maya apocalypse of 2012 illustrates how misunderstandings of Maya cosmology can spark global mythmaking. In reality, the Maya calendar was cyclical, not predictive of the end of the world. More recently, efforts by indigenous scholars and advocates have pushed for authentic representation of Maya history and voices in media and academia. Documentaries, museums, and school curricula increasingly include the Maya not just as a historical people, but as a vibrant, living culture with a dynamic past and future. The Maya civilization, far from being a vanished or mysterious culture, is one of the most enduring, complex, and inspiring in human history. From their earliest settlements over 4,000 years ago to the monumental cities of the Classic period, from resistance against Spanish conquest to the vibrant villages and cities of today, the Maya people have continuously adapted, resisted, and flourished. Their achievements in science, art, religion, and governance were as sophisticated as any ancient empire, and their contributions to human understanding remain invaluable. Despite periods of collapse and colonization, the Maya never truly disappeared. Their languages are still spoken, their rituals are still practiced, their stories still echo through the forests, mountains, and plazas of Mesoamerica. In honoring the Maya, we honor not only an ancient people but also the resilience of indigenous identity in the face of unimaginable challenges. The Maya teach us that greatness is not confined to one time or place, it can be rediscovered, reinterpreted, and reborn through every generation that remembers.